Good evening and welcome to Flat Earth United Kingdom. Joining me this evening on this panel of excellence is Zoe Scribner, Validation Boy, Stephen Chess, Spectacles, Patricia Steer, and Cathexis. So, a very, very warm welcome to one and all. How are you doing?
Take two.
Doing great.
Try them again.
Hi. Hey, Nathan.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's a pleasure. We started off before the show saying, what's the topic going to be then, Nathan? I was like, yeah, no topic. It'll be maybe a bit of flat earth and other hot potatoes on this one. We shall see. But there's no set topic. It's hopefully going to be joined by other people who will just pop by and say hello as well. But it's more of a celebration. I'm just so chuffed for myself that I've managed to reach 100 shows. So I totted them up the other day, and it was actually 104 live streams, but 4 or 5 of them were just like tests and things. But it was like 99 shows. This is the 100th. And I wanted to invite some of the old guests back on and say, come and say hi and chat with me.
By old guests, are you talking age? Because no, I'm just joking.
No, that wasn't a slant on anybody who may come on that's older. So no, definitely not. Yeah. And a new guest to the show, technically speaking, is Sean. So how are you doing, Validation Boy?
Hey, I'm doing great, Nathan. Congratulations, by the way, on this milestone for you.
Yeah, it's come at a random time. It's not exactly like exactly a year or something. It's like 18 months of live shows. But yeah, I'm really chuffed. I can't lie. So thanks. No, really pleased.
It is a big thing to reach something like 100. It is. I mean, with all of the things that we go through as flat earthers or non-globe earthers or earth curious people here, because we have everyone different types represented. We go through a lot because we're not in the mainstream believing what everybody else believes. And to make it to 100 and you're still alive, you don't have too many bullet wounds or scars, because we do sort of get those along the way, kicks in the gut, and, just all those things that happen as you try to speak your truth. So, hey, congratulations.
Ain't that the truth?
You made it. Yeah.
Well, I hope Spectacles doesn't mind me saying this. Again, we talked about it just before we went on air, but you're becoming a bit despondent with some of the things that happen in our community, if we can call it that. Are you happy to speak to that? Maybe not. Maybe I'll put you right on the spot.
I think I have before. I mean, outside of like things that are, happen offline and not in public, I don't have a problem discussing. I know that people are trying to reach into my private affairs and use it against me or whatever. And then, I've been threatened with being doxxed and having my identity placed out by both some of the Globe people. It's just really, I get tired of the threats. I get tired of the people not investigating. And then, the community is getting more and more fractured. We're getting information silos, and that's what my beef is at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean, it's one where you kind of want to tell people to take it extremely seriously. We say things like, this is the biggest deception mankind's ever seen. But at the same time, you've got to tell people not to take it too seriously and not to get too caught up in the drama, and, don't let it affect you. And there is life outside of YouTube and Flat Earth. So it's hard to strike a balance between getting people to take what you say absolutely seriously. But yeah, we've been joined by Gav of Flat Earth After Party and also Mark Sargent. So how you doing, Mark? How you doing, Gav?
What is this? Are we on? Is this live?
We're live. Yes, we are.
I'm doing well. How are you?
And how are you doing, Gav?
Oh,
I think we heard fine, doing fine.
Oh, good, because it sounded like he got cut off. That is a stunning icon that Gav's got there, and it's mesmerizing me. I don't know if the audience is able to see that.
Nah, they can't. It's we only get it on the internal Hangout. It's just a static thing when I put it on Gav, unfortunately. But yeah, we've got this like flashing icon from Gav. It's pretty trippy.
It looks like does anyone remember the Spirograph toy? They still make it, where you use a pen and...
I don't believe it. I just don't believe that the things you can do with a Spirograph.
Exactly. Yeah. You and I would remember, Mark.
Yeah.
It's yes. A hoax, Mark. It's a hoax.
It's a real thing.
Spirograph.
Look up the Spirograph. It's a toy, but it's really a fun thing. It's you get one now and play with it and enjoy drawing. It's fun.
Spirograph.
Looks like Gav's icon. Oh, I used to love Light Bright. Used to love that one.
Yeah.
The toys of our youth.
Hey, sorry. Am I coming through okay, or is it choppy?
Yeah. Beautiful.
You're good now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I said I'm doing good, mate. Thanks. How are you?
Excellent. How's things on Discord?
Awesome, man. Awesome. I couldn't have imagined how well it's actually going. You know, people are like all over there now, jamming away. They got the sax on the go. We got singing. We got guitars. It's awesome. And I've just put today a music bot on that we can queue up music. So today, what I've tried to do is queue up like lots of greatest hits from random artists for people to listen to. You know. It's cool. It's really good. I like it.
I was in there the other night, and you had Tone Overdrive, and he was basically playing DJ and taking requests, and people would talk about the song and then chat in the chat feed that goes up. It was just wonderful. It was really, really nice.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, it's awesome, and anybody's welcome over there. I'd like to see everybody there, if possible. If anybody has time, come over, say hi.
For sure. I'm going to say a quick hello to Martin, and then say hello to all the people who've joined us in the chat as well. So how are you doing, Martin?
Good. Congratulations, Nathan. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. And I'll scroll down a bit of the chat. So we've got actually, I might screen share this. Why not? We've got a rather special screen share feature. So my desktop is actually the internal workings of the ISS. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that pretty? So
amazing.
We'll bring up some of the chat so you can actually see who's getting a shout out. So we've got, hey, Shruminati, Night Angel, Irk Childs, Dina Walker, hello to you all, Retro Rich Alex, and that's Paula. Hello, Paula, Knowledge Scavenger, former guest. Hello. Yorkshire Lass Tracy, hello. Hey, we've got Spectacles. Who's he? What's he doing there? FV Angel, hello to you too, on a plane. Wormwood Severanty, hello. And got any more? Night Angel, Timaeus, John Watson, hello to you all as well. D-Truth, hello. Issa Mahal, former guest, how you doing? Eternal Padawan, who we met at the Space Centre. I'm sure Martin will want to give him a shout out and say hi to.
Truly.
Music Man, hello. And who's that? Cathexis in the chat, keeping everyone entertained. I think we're reaching the bottom now. Anyone else? Underground Prison TV, hello. You've been exposed. Hope you saw my advert, my friend. Big shout out to you.
Shout out to You've Been Exposed for sure. He's doing great work.
Upside Down Ed Head as well. I didn't get to speak to him yesterday or the day before yesterday. Hello, Ed. How you doing? Rawkin. Good to see you, my friend. I think that's probably it. Billy Sunday. And there we are. Martin's in the show. So I'll stop screen sharing there so we can go back to our beautiful looking panel.
I've got a question about the ISS thing you've got on your desktop that we're able to see whenever you speak, Nathan. If it's so easy, look at that. You can easily make yourself on the ISS floating right now if you wanted to. It would be like 3 clicks and you'd have it set. And then people on YouTube argue with each other, especially people who believe the ISS is really there and that we live on a ball and that everything that the mainstream tells us is true. They'll say, well, I've seen the uninterrupted footage. There's no cuts. It's real. How disprove this, debunk this. And they show it floating through the ISS. And look what you can do on your PC. Imagine what they can do with what they've got.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I see it as being sorely lacking. I mean, the story I tell is that I wanted that. Well, not that, but part of what the wallpaper engine does, which is what gives you a desktop like that. But I wanted to have Earth from space to see weather. And I thought it'd be really nice to have, weather patterns on my desktop. And it's akin to Mark Sargent's story for his networks. I mean, you may as well tell that story here, Mark. So.
Oh, where I was looking for iconic Earth pictures back in 2000 on the internet. Oh yeah. I thought I had done something wrong. I was running Boolean strings on the search engine, looking for just anything Earth from space. I wanted different globe pictures, and I just kept getting rows and rows and rows of exactly the same image. It was just different resolutions and slightly different tinting, but it was just all the Apollo 17 image, and I thought I was missing something. It was right in front of my face 15, 17 years ago, and I couldn't see it. And so I just thought, well, NASA apparently sucks at internet distribution for their data, and I just moved on to something else. But yeah.
It's funny that none of us noticed this. None of us.
No.
Was it Learn of the Jesuit Order that did the really screamy YouTube video? There are no pictures of Earth from space.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he pulled down his channel for whatever reason, deleted every video, pulled the whole thing down, said that he was wrong, couldn't explain why, and then put it up in a limited fashion later.
Right.
He said that they were doing real science on the ISS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whatever.
It's very strange.
Well, weird science, more like.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. When what happened to learn of the Jesuit? No. That's how
it did freak the community out, or dysfunctional community. Yeah, there's these little moments we could have a graph of the events that have happened, the big events within Flat Earth, and that would be one of them when Learn of the Jesuit Order came out with that. And yeah, there's a couple
Remember
others.
that way back then when 5 years ago? Yeah, those were the days.
Yes, exactly.
Who was the other guy that did a similar thing where he sounded like a black guy? Where's the curvature? Where? Who was that?
That's Zib Ron.
Zib.
That's
Zib Ron.
Concaver. Yeah.
He went concave.
Yeah.
Right. Another moment.
But what's he been doing lately?
Well, he gives all the credit to his Lord and Savior, Stephen Christ. And
right. I forgot about the Lord and Savior.
Yeah, he became kind of a monk for Lord Stephen Christ.
Wow.
That's a good shot, by the way, that you're sharing right there.
I feel like I'm really there.
That can't be faked. Seriously, I might as well quit right now.
Pack it up, Mark.
That's it. Cannot be faked.
Pack it up, Mark.
That's totally real. First person, that is.
Yeah. And this is in answer to maybe people that are flat earthers saying that no one ever goes to the window and doesn't.
No, Nathan, you have to go. You have to go and show everyone how cool it looks.
I can't. I did that with my iPad just so I could put it right up against the screen. Because if I just do it now, you'll see all the speakers around and it'll ruin the effect. So I'll save that one for another time. I did do it. I mean, actually, I was hoping to get to that. I might as well use that as a segue because we've got Sean on. Because we had a really weird position when we were debating with Gems Panda, Jeremy, and Cognitive Dissonance, aka Tim Osman, aka Bipolar Troll, aka Endless Trolls on the internet. But they were they're in opposition because you've got one of them saying, well, I absolutely don't take NASA as proof because it's a presentation on a 2D screen. And you've got one of them saying, I absolutely do take it as proof. Every time I use the word proof, they jump down my throat and say, evidence. It's like, well, as far as I'm concerned, when they are literally presenting you with it as a ball, that can be classed as proof, for you, not for me. But that was a weird position to be in where one of them does take it as proof and one of them doesn't. What do you reckon, Sean?
Well, I mean, you and me absolutely destroyed those guys on the show. I want to thank you so much for joining me on that show, man. That was a lot of fun. We pretty much crushed them, and we pretty much put an end to a lot of what they're saying. We are just sophists. We put a little bit of an end to that, and I see Tim getting really frustrated lately after that because we kind of laid the smackdown on those guys, and the things we were saying to them are things that they are not going to be able to get past if they're going to be intellectually honest with themselves.
Yeah, my ambition was to sort of turn the table so that they're so used to listening to a flat earth proof and then picking it apart and finding flaw with it. So I took the reverse tact and said, well, let's have you present those back to me as though they're proof of the globe. And although it's fallacious, when you're taking things like the dog cam footage and saying, well, I can put this into Photoshop and show there's curvature, rather than going into the argument about the camera spinning through 360 degrees, you just say, okay, fine, I'll write that down and take that as your proof of the globe then. So we'll write that down. Dog cam footage shows curvature. What's next? Well, go up to the top of a mountain with a theodolite and you can see curvature from there. Right, okay. So you think at the end of this list of things, which are basically where they've picked apart flat earth proofs, you're left with this really quite crummy list of proofs to present to somebody that they live on a spinning globe, as opposed to what they see as very strong ways of picking apart flat earth proofs. Well, I see the reverse. This is a very weak argument to prove you live on a spinning ball, my friend.
It was funny to see how triggered and emotional they got over the fact that you were literally just listing back their own evidences or proofs to them. They couldn't even handle that.
Yeah, it's a police tactic, actually. That's what the police do with you. Not that I've had that many encounters with the police, but that's precisely what they do. They take out a notepad, they write down what you say, and then they just repeat it back to you. And you suddenly, if you're saying something that's dodgy, you get very frustrated very quickly.
I want to interrupt and ask Sean to perhaps unplug his mic and then plug it back in. I heard some static, and then I asked the chat, and they said they heard some static only when Sean is speaking. Validation boy. So the mic unplug plug can work sometimes. So.
Yeah, or if not, drop and then just rejoin.
Just drop the mic. That works. It solves everything.
Proof density.
Well, honestly, my battery's getting low, and I'm really fired up after the conversation that me and Nathan had with P. Mars and Tim Osmond. So today I've been dedicating my time to working on a new narrated piece that's going to be a little bit lengthier than my other ones. And I'm really fired up on it right now, and I just really wanted to work on that today. And I also wanted to come in and say congratulations to Nathan. And I also want to publicly apologize officially to Nathan and to Patricia and to David Weiss and to Mark Sargent if I have said anything to offend Mark Sargent. I was wrong about a lot of the things I said about you guys in the past. I think that Flat Earth, we don't necessarily need to be a team because I advocate for free-thinking individualism, but we do need to start being nice to each other. Flat Earth infighting does need to come to an end, and I really appreciate your guys' gracious attitudes towards me in my journey doing so, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
That's another unexpected surprise. I mean, you said something similar on P. Mars's show, and I'm slightly less lost for words now, having heard it a second time. But I know, Patricia, you commented on this. It is unheard of in our community. I can't think of another example when someone's just basically taken ownership of their mistakes, and you'd have to watch the beginning. I'm sure you don't want to do it all again now, Sean. But yeah, at the beginning of P. Mars' show, you basically said, this is something that I've concocted in my own mind. I've, drawn conclusions from things that have happened that were incorrect, and then I've taken my assumptions and published them, and that was wrong. And, as much as maybe people on this show won't hear Sean quite so well because he's got a bit of a distorted mic, but essentially what he's saying is, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And that takes, number one, a lot of courage, but, to own your mistakes, I'm all about that. So, my hat's off to you for doing that. Apology accepted, no hard feelings from me. At the time I wasn't that fussed. I've got very thick skin, but I certainly know that Bob Nodell was very, very upset by what you did. And, I hope he hears what you've said and has the same feelings as me, no hard feelings. So, thanks. Wonderful.
I really appreciate you having me on. I got to get back to work on this thing. I'm so fired up on doing this right now.
All right. Good luck with it.
I picked out from that you're doing a set piece, like an edited piece. So wonderful. Look forward to seeing that. I can't wait till that to come out. I will like and share it.
Thank you, guys. It's been great to talk to all of you. I'll talk to you all in the future very soon. Thank you.
Great respect to you.
Hey, take care,
Bye.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on, Validation Boy. Hopefully we'll see you again soon.
See you later, everybody.
That's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, I'm very moved, I must say.
Validation Boy has received criticism for quote unquote being a potato by some people. That there's no such thing as really that technically. That it's a lot. I think we said something like that in the beginning of the slings and arrows, what you have to deal with to be searching for truth, accused of things you're not, and then sometimes there are the rare people who actually step up and say they're sorry for doing something. That's really amazing that he did it, but in a way that it's sad that he's the only one that's done it. It should be the standard of how we operate in our own families most of the time, and in friend groups. When we do something, we always say, oh, I'm sorry I did so and so, and life goes on. But within this, a lot of people say things that they know at the time aren't true, or later discover aren't true, and never retract their video, never do an apology video, never send a little message or nothing. They just let it hang out there. And then there's a lot of people who are misled about the person in question and think that they're something that they're not, or did something that they didn't do. So hats off to VB.
Yeah, I don't think you can really speak to this though, Patricia. This never happens to you.
No, never.
Come on. You think Eric will come out someday and just be like, I'm sorry, Mark, I was mean to you. I'm sorry, Patricia.
Yeah.
The other day when he was on Beyond the Imaginary Curve, and he was just sitting there like a regular guy, talking with them, I heard him talking about one of my passions, veganism, and they all started talking about veganism on Beyond the Imaginary Curve without any sort of judgment, or, they weren't telling people that they're murderers if they're not vegan. They were just discussing it like adults. And I thought to myself, Eric and I, aside from some key issues, have a lot in common. And it is amazing that the stand he's taken toward me is the stand he's taken toward me. And for those who don't know, there's a couple videos that he's made and statements, tiny little nothings, of course. But we are really on the same page. I don't just mean Eric and I. Forget about me. All of us. Cathexis has different beliefs than I do on many things, and Mark and I have different beliefs in areas. All of us really do. And here we are. We all can be here at the same time searching for truth. It's okay. It's okay. It's great, in fact.
Be here and love.
Exactly.
I couldn't help myself.
That's it. Your channel name says it all.
I know, Mark, you've got a show a bit later on. What show are you going to be on?
The Devil's Been Talking Radio, which doesn't sound
nice
pretty good.
name.
But
You stole my
it
joke.
could be worse.
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke after that. So,
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be on Lucifer's Hammer Radio. No, I don't. Devil's Been Talking Radio. And I've got to bug out here in about maybe 10 minutes. The Eric may come around. You never know. If the fact. I mean, I would have lost money when I saw him on Dell's channel. I was like, what the? I have not physically seen Eric in a hangout. When was Eric in a hangout?
Ever?
Never.
Ever?
Yeah.
I don't think he ever has been.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he was on Dell's show on, when was it? On Saturday? No,
Yes.
it wasn't
That was
Saturday.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that's all
great.
it. That's all I've seen is just on Dell's show.
Yeah. And
I mean, he's done a
before that-
few video interviews, but I
Right.
cannot remember the last time he did a video hangout. If ever.
He was in chat with Nick of Phuket Word a couple months ago. And I was thinking, is it really Eric? And you know how you used to be able to hover your mouse over somebody to see about the subscribers? I think you can still. Some people have said you can. I guess it depends on the equipment you're using. Anyway, yeah, there he was. And I'm like, this is the real Eric Dubé. And I'm in the chat and Eric's in the chat. Maybe there's hope.
You never know.
You never
There's
know.
a lot of time between now and November. So wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, November being the FEIC 2017
Yeah, the conference. I mean, honestly, with all the things that have happened this year so far, and it's only March, can anything be ruled out at this point?
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the conference, boom, here comes Robbie Davidson,
There you go.
conference organizer.
Welcome.
How
How's
you
it
doing?
going?
How you doing, Robbie Davidson?
Very good. I wanted to make sure that I made it for definitely for this show, Nathan. Congratulations on 100 amazing shows. You've done some amazing things with your shows and just the diversity of the people that you brought on. So I just wanted to say a big congratulations. Great.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm as chuffed as anybody. So yeah. So what's the news? I noticed you'd got a almost apology off JLB today.
Yeah, it looks like it's working out pretty good. He actually said, I wish you the best success. And I guess his biggest thing was, hey, as long as you deliver, I'm all for it. So yeah, we had a really good talk, and honestly, he's been actually really great throughout the whole process. So I definitely want to thank him for just his candidness and being able to talk with him and just to be open and honest about everything. And I think it's worked out great. It was a great opportunity. Like I said, after that promotion was done in 2014, I never had a chance to reach out and find out, what did he do with the money. So it was great to find out that him and his wife were able to do some traveling in Europe, and it was a great connection to connect with the winner again after this time. So it was a great ending. Like, I even thanked John afterwards. I said, thanks. I probably wouldn't have contacted the winner and see if he could put out a video. And so it all worked out really great.
Did you want to give some context to that? Because maybe the audience might not understand what we're talking about, or I will. So there was a Bitcoin car giveaway, and the winner of the car essentially released a video and explained what he'd done with the money, because he took the Bitcoin money as opposed to the car. And what all John LeBon essentially revealed was that there was a winner of the competition, and the car had been taken. You'd taken possession of the car and presumably sold it, because then you'd be out $10,000 if you didn't. So, which is perfectly reasonable. And somebody did win the competition, and that was that person. And he basically had that video put up, JLB, that is, to explain that, yes, it was all perfectly legitimate. I mean, I spoke to you about this on chat Skype long before this show started. But, I had spoken to JLB about it on whatever you want to call it, a phone call, Skype call. And, he said he was very, he had a lot of admiration for what you were doing. So, I think maybe him wanting to find a flaw is a bit unfair. But on the other hand, all it's done is given you more credibility and exposed the conference more. So wonderful. Thank you for the publicity would be my attitude.
Yeah, no, like I said, it was a good turnout. And anyone that doesn't know the story, ran a promotion in 2014. And basically it was an awareness tour for Bitcoin. Did 50 cities across North America in 5 months, I believe. So we went to pretty much every major city in Canada and the US. It's all documented. You can see the entire tour. But basically, it was kind of an awareness tour. And at the end of it, you had the choice to either the car that we were driving that was all deckled out and had all these amazing kind of stickers and stuff, or you could take 10,000. It was the car or Bitcoin. So in the end, they had the choice. And yeah, Eric Miller was the winner. And we transferred the Bitcoin, and he and his wife had a great time. Actually, he even mentioned to me that he's kept 3 Bitcoin, and he's glad that he did, because like I said, it's been going pretty crazy lately. So it was a good promotion. Like I said, my background is in marketing, advertising, and the company that I had created just looked at marketing and doing some things that are outside the box and just ways to promote something. So now that I'm in, really adamant and passionate about flat Earth, I'm just deploying the same type of ideas to really, really make an impact and get this out to a larger audience, and hopefully that we can really start breaking into mainstream and really making an impact on the community as a whole.
Has it really sunk in for you though? Because you're obviously very, very close to this. Just quite how much of an impact you've made. I mean, we've got Mark Sargent sat over there. I know he's as giddy as a schoolboy, so maybe Mark can reiterate to you just how exciting this is. But my question is, has it actually sunk in what, just by saying it's going to happen and starting to organize it, the kind of difference you've made?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's like sunk in, nor do I want it to, because then the nerves will set in, because it's big. And then we know it's really big, and we want to make sure that we do something that is good for the reputation of the community. It's something that brings people together. It starts building bridges. It starts even, mending fences that maybe people have had in the past online. And it will just be a good opportunity. And I think that going forward, it's going to be something really special. And each year, I think it's going to be something to look forward to for a lot of people in the community. I think people are going to develop friendships that are going to last a lifetime through this conference. People are going to be able to meet. We're going to be able to understand our differences, but we can see how we all come together on this common purpose, where we're really trying to bring investigation and purpose to exposing the lies that we've been fed through science and NASA and so forth.
Yeah, plus it'll humanize a lot of the people. They may still be on, not on stage, but you know what I mean by that, making presentations and such. But it will still serve to humanize those people, because they're still going to be wandering around the conference at some point, drinking a cup of coffee and just shaking people's hands. And having done things like that, although on a much smaller scale, it really does serve to humanize the people that you meet, and for them to get an idea that you're not a CIA shill informant crazy thing that they've come up with in their mind just because they've seen you effectively on the television. We're on a TV screen for many people, but we're just normal guys. I mean, we were talking earlier about Eric DeBay, and just having him take that step to, and I don't want to say he's stepped into the trenches, but you know what I mean? He's come on to a hangout, and that has served him very well to humanize him. He was on the same level as everybody on that hangout. And you're doing it in a much more grand fashion. It's much more real when you can actually stand next to somebody and smell them.
Yeah, and I think that will really help, is just seeing that we're just people, we're not paid shills or government agents. When people see that, people coming with their families, and I mean, it's going to be open to the media. It's going to be a family-friendly event. So again, overall, I think that it's really going to help going forward as far as just seeing the legitimacy that is bringing people of all different backgrounds, different professions. This isn't just one. You can't even peg it with one type of group. I mean, you have so many different diverse personalities, backgrounds, religions. And to me, this is something for the media and the world to wake up and say, hey, wait, there might be something going on here. We need to address this. So I think it's going to be a fantastic opportunity. Like I said, we're going to be working with the press for press releases, and we've got some really great surprises planned, and we're still working on stuff, logistics, and hopefully in a few weeks, we're going to be able to release more information. And just, we want to make sure that the community knows up front what's going on, what's happening. So that's really important to us. So we're just making sure that we've got all our ducks in a row before we can start, releasing more information. But yeah, we're really super excited about it. It's going to be an amazing time.
And Robbie, you were, speaking of Eric DeBay, and we were speaking of Eric DeBay too. He said that he's not going to be able to go this year, but he's all for what you're doing. So there's another Eric DeBay kind of mixing and mingling with the real people. I mean, because he's this person that we don't see with others. And for him to say that he gives his thumbs up to this event is really great, because he's got many followers who don't mix and mingle with us because of that fear of the shell and the CIA. And so it's just him saying that is a big, big win for the truth-seeking community.
Yeah, and I think just waiting, like sitting back and waiting approach, like I think Eric Dubé will, see it go, it will happen, and then all of a sudden he'll be like, yeah, maybe I'm going to go, because he's going to see the opportunity there. He sells books, he does different things, and again, he's brought a lot of great things to the community. I mean, for me personally, he was one of the first videos I watched. Right, I've watched other ones like D. Murphy and different things. So I explain to everyone all the time, how many flat earthers just stay on one person, just Mark Sargent, or just Celebrate Truth, or just Brian Mullins? They don't. They look all around and they start developing their own, like through their own journey, their own path. So sometimes we don't need to be so scared of other people out there, even if they're, a little scary, or they're talking some crazy stuff, because people are smart enough to start looking through it, take the good, take out the bad, and recognize what we're all doing and what's our common thing that everyone agrees on. We don't believe it's a spinning ball flying through space. So I always let people know that no matter what happens, remember, we all can agree on that. We can differentiate on all these different ideas, but when it comes down to that one thing, I don't think there's any flat earther that believes we're on a spinning ball flying through space.
Just while we've got him here, Mark, can you tell us exactly why you're so excited? I'm hoping you'll, boil it down for everybody.
Well, I'm so excited about the conference.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's because it's the wonderful critical mass moment which we've all been waiting for. It is the final culmination of honestly, we probably should have done this last year, but I'm so happy that Robbie's doing it, because I couldn't think of a better guy to do it, because he's got so much energy and enthusiasm. But bringing everybody together in one place and sharing ideas. And the big thing is, people that have emailed me and called me so far about this is that they're just so happy. I think the main reason people are going is because they can finally be in a room full of other, like-minded people. They can finally be accepted. It's like, oh yeah, my family, my mother doesn't talk to me. My sister doesn't talk to me. They've alienated friends. And this is the exact opposite of that. This will be cathartic for people to show up at this thing. And the energy will be palpable. It's going to be fantastic. I encourage everybody to go, even the people that are on the fence. It'd be great just to see. You want to know what it's about. You want to know why this thing is generating the type of traction that it is. Go to this thing. And even the scientific community, you want to know where you went wrong? Go. You'll find out what happens when an idea takes shape and grabs hold and won't let go. I could not be more excited about this thing. Again, a line full of astronomers with guns could not keep me from going to this thing, even if I wasn't speaking at it.
It's the adrenaline as well. The people who are there, it's different now. I mean, there's 150 people watching right now, but it doesn't feel that way. It's just me in my lounge. It doesn't feel like there's 150 people watching. Whereas when you're there and there's 10 people actually sat in front of you looking at you as you speak, and you crack a joke and they don't laugh, it's a totally different feeling. So everyone's going to be on top form. Everyone's going to be really well genned up on what they're going to say, and possibly having said it 20 or 30 times that hour, they'll have their rhetoric right down. So, you'll get a condensed version of what everyone's about in person.
Let me mention this before I go, because unfortunately I do have an interview I got to run to, which is the thing I'm looking forward to even more than well, I shouldn't say that. It's probably equal. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody that I've had emails and correspondence with, and of course all the faces here that are going to be attending, and people that I've watched videos on. It's going to be fantastic. But I'm also I so hope that the media comes and are pleasantly surprised by this. Meaning, any media that shows up, it's a pretty safe bet that they're going to think it's a sideshow in a circus. That people are going to be in costume, and there's going to be tin hats and alien people walking around. It's going to be super weird. They're going to treat it like, oh, it's going to be the bizarre version of Comic-Con, which it will not be. It's going to be the exact opposite of that. They're going to be, I would imagine media coming in there and they're going, wait, who do we interview? There's nobody looks really weird, with the exception of maybe people protesting on the sidewalks outside, whoever, from whatever science institution. I don't think there's going to, everybody's really, it's a fairly normal cross section of people that just believe the same thing. And I can't wait to see how the media tries to respond to this. Kind of like the media firestorm that's been happening over the last couple of weeks, where they don't know how to deal with it. They just don't. But now that more and more people are talking about it, it's just fueling itself. Anyway, I gotta run.
Real pleasure. Thank you very much for being on.
Thank you. Hey, but congrats. 100 episodes. That snuck up on me. I didn't know you had done 100 of these things already.
Yeah, it's because it's all different stuff. It's like, a dozen sun trackings and maybe 25 mechanics of the fourth wall and Earth UK. So it's not like I've got #1 of one show and then a #99, like Patricia's done 147, is it now?
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember what the number is. But yeah, you do so many videos, Nathan, consistently, which is really, really a good thing. Your channel always has something fresh to offer. And I need to do that, but I get distracted with stuff at my house lately. So I commend you for that, just being on top of it and doing the consistent videos. And of course, Mark always doing interviews. He's probably the only person who will be at FEIC 2017 who won't have to practice what he's going to be speaking about when he hits the mic, because it's like, just like that.
I'm trying to come up with new things. I now understand, and I'm not saying I'm a celebrity in any way, shape, or form, but I understand if you get interviewed enough times, eventually you start coming up with stuff. It's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go a different way with this because I don't want to answer it that way anymore.
Right.
And not because it's the wrong answer, is because you get tired of answering a certain way, but it helps. Right. So
you got to sorry to interrupt, but you got a great way of articulating it, Mark, on your last interview with Western University. I mean, it just flowed. And I think for most people hearing that, they can just start formulating it. You have a great way with analogies and even movie references to start kind of putting it all together. So yeah, you do a wonderful job with your interviews. So
Thank you. It really comes down to the host. If the host is somewhat open-minded, and luckily with this topic, they're on their heels quickly enough that they can't attack. It's like, whoa. They finally realized after the first 10, 15 minutes, okay, he's serious about this. I'm just going to sit back and let this thing happen, and then maybe treat it, because he may be a mental patient as far as they know. Anyway, I got to run, guys. Thank you very much for seeing everybody, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks again, Mark. See you soon.
Good luck, mate. Bye-bye.
Gives me a nice opportunity.
I got to run myself too. I just wanted to pop in and congratulate Nathan. And real quick, I'll just let everyone know, if they're not familiar with the Flat Earth International Conference, they can go to fe2017.com. So it's just fe2017.com. You can find all the information, or reach out to me if you have a question, and look forward to meeting all of you there.
Thanks again. Really pleasure to have you here, Robbie. Really pleased to see you. And good luck if we don't speak again on the conference.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the conference.
Take care, man.
Bye.
See you later.
So who here is going?
Ty.
I wasn't, but I'm going to try now.
Oh, good. Oh, that will be so cool.
Okay, I'm just going to get
I haven't decided yet personally, but
I got to try.
Good.
Right, I'm going to go to the chat, say a few more hellos to everybody. So a few more people have joined. Mark Twain, how you doing? Hello there. Joy 4118. Ace McLeod, the star of the show, how you doing? A massive shout out to you, Ace. Every single time you say shout me out, and I very rarely do. So a big shout out to Ace McLeod. YouTube, hello. Silver Wolf. Mikami, how you doing? Hello. How do you say this? Zulu 1, hello. How you doing? The Afterlife Now, hello. Very nice to have you here. Durka Daka, Temeus, X-Stranger, he's in the chat. So he's Spec. I think that's it. I think I've gone through. There we go. Chad, hello. Nice to see you. Fanny Lancer, tut. Fanny Lancer's normally so well behaved.
Shout out to Fanny Lancer. His stuff's hilarious.
He's made some funny videos. I'll give him that for sure.
Is that Bob that's joined us?
I swear, I just heard Bob laugh.
Yeah, that's Bob.
Yes, Bob.
It's me. Hello, everybody.
The devil's advocate himself.
Yes, indeed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I ran so far over, Nathan, but the show kind of took on a life of its own, needless to say, and I had no idea it was going to run into 4.5 hours.
That's what it's like with a good topic like that. I mean, a controversial topic is a good topic. And, you've covered it before. And frankly, I was less impressed last time. This time it was good, especially early on when Jaron jumped in and started addressing things. I'm going to say it very bluntly.
It's funny because usually I'm the one that's sitting, back quietly and letting Jaron talk about something that's really agitating to the audience. And today, by me kind of being the devil's advocate, I was put in that position, which is unique for me because I've never really seen that much negativity come out of it. But I just wanted people to understand that I was just kind of playing that devil's advocate. I certainly don't believe that, it's not that I don't believe, about what I was talking about, but I don't believe that children should be treated that way or anything like that. But I was just trying to kind of expand on the whole idea of what it is to be a conscious being in this reality. And, the fact is that there's all different sides to what we see and perceive, and not every, in fact, nobody is unique in any way, or everybody, I should say, is unique. Excuse me, and that's all I was kind of trying to represent. But I did really get under some people's skins.
It's a topic you've got to cover, though. I mean, it's not something that everybody's going to enjoy listening to. You can't please all the people all of the time. But I think you did a very good job of it. You're not trying to force it down anybody's throats. You've only got to switch off if you don't like the subject. But it's a subject lots and lots of people are looking into. Mia typifies that. And you had him on the show, and he talked about it. So what more can you ask for? I think you did a very good job.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I really enjoyed Chris and Cherie. This is the first time I had ever interacted with them. And I thought they were fabulous guests. And the whole, a lot of people were asking, well, does this mean you guys are advocating the use of ayahuasca? And the answer to that is no, we're not. However, the purpose of it was to point out the experiences that a lot of people do have on it. Now, if people want to do that, then by all means. In fact, at some point, I would like to try it myself, because I've heard so much about it. It sounds like a very profound experience. And I kind of like that idea. So, for me personally, I will probably do it, but I'm not advocating it for anybody else by any means.
Well, David Weiss in the chat was saying that it found him. That was how you got phrased. And I quite like that.
Yes, like when the time is right, it finds you, according to David.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel the same way. I've had opportunity to do it several times before, and obviously I didn't. Therefore, there must have been a reason. But I'm fully believe that all good things in their own time. And so I thought it was a really interesting show. I was trying to stick a lot more to the technical aspects of the holographic reality, because believe me, there is a lot of science that backs it up, but it just kept kind of wandering away from that. So I figured, well, you know what, if this is where it wants to go, then to heck with it, we'll go with it.
Well, it's certainly something Ken I can never say the channel name properly. Is it Theora Apothesis? Have I said that correctly?
Yeah, Theoria Apophysis, Ken Wheeler.
Yeah, he absolutely, his mantra, it is a holographic universe. Our existence is holographic, I should say.
Yeah. And, honestly, I'm leaning more and more that way. Not that I want to sit here and find myself in agreement with like Ronnie and Jason, because I think that their concept of it is completely distorted, and ultimately they have done not anywhere near enough research into it. But there is a huge scientific and philosophical basis for this idea, and a lot of amazing evidence that really does support the idea that we are in some sort of a simulation. And whether it's true or not is kind of beside the point, at least to some people. But to me, it makes for a really fascinating discussion material.
Talking of fascinating discussion material, the supercell. I've got to bring this up while I've got you on, Bob. So the one that you made out of blood, that just said this is a nice controversial show. What did you make of that?
I thought that was amazing, but of course, what's happening is it's the iron in the blood that is literally conforming around to those magnetic flux lines. So it didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was how little amount of blood it took to get that effect. So that was kind of cool.
Just so people know what we're talking about. So Ken basically took a drop of blood, spread it between two cells and illuminated with LED lights so that he could show magnetic fields. And if we ignore the one with blood for a moment, although this absolutely showed in that as well, you have a depth. I mean, he said it was less than a micron thick when he's using the very low viscosity ferrofluid that is unique to him. It's of his own design, I think. But when he's using that, it's less than a micron thick, and it's showing, I mean, to my eyes, some of them look like they've got 6 inches, 7 inches of holographic depth in terms of what you're actually seeing. And it's not like it's a representation. That is actually the magnetic field that he's showing.
Yeah, absolutely. That was absolutely fascinating. But, it's kind of like, where we've been going on Globebusters, trying to show that everything generates an electromagnetic field. It surrounds us, it permeates us, it's everywhere. And to not include that into, any model that we're working on, to me, seems a little crazy. So, I love Ken's work. I think he is a genius beyond belief. Of course, it was he that kind of turned the light on my head about, what I have come to conclude what gravity actually is, being more of an electrostatic manifestation than anything else. But, just one little word from him, all he said was, if you take a old type CRT TV screen and how the dust, attracts to that. Well, that's really what we're talking about, the gravity is, and that rang so hard that I was just really inspired. So I love the guy's work. I really do.
I want to put out a little appeal for Ken. So this is on behalf of Ken. If you see Ken around and he's taking pictures, don't interrupt him. Don't ask him anything. Just let him do his work. So there you go. That's an appeal, Ken.
Another question about the potential holographic universe is, how did Bob's voice get into Nathan Oakley's body? Because we see whenever you speak, Bob, Nathan's icon comes up. It's very puzzling.
Oh, are you serious? Well, I am a channel manager, but I'm signed in as me. I have no idea how that happened.
No, I got the same.
Yeah, Martin Leakey's got the same too.
Yeah, I may as well give it a brief explanation to this. I may as well stop sharing. So I don't know how long probably 8 or 9 months ago, before we did the very first sun tracking, Bob and his son Jaren, so not Jaren of Jarenism, very kindly sat down with myself and Antonio Subrat to help us devise one of our channels to actually be capable of having other host managers. Fortunately for Antonio, we couldn't get it to work with his channel, so we couldn't actually let anybody run his channel as a channel manager, but mine could, with a lot of help from Jaren. So he sat for a number of, well, maybe not a number of hours, but quite a long time, with like matrix code going at my screen, with him doing it on, telling me what to do, giving me codes to run. And it was breathtaking. I mean, I was truly in awe of what Jaren did. But at the end of it, I managed to have a channel that was capable of actually, letting other people come on. So as a byproduct, it meant that people like Martin and people like Bob could actually come in. But when they do, they come in as me. So I'm sure it's the same on Globebusters. If you see more than one Globebusters icon, it just means Jaren and Bob are both signed in as Globebusters. Well, Bob's signed in as Nathan Oakley. It's a bit weird because it's actually me with my photo. Yeah. But yeah, it's not me. It's definitely Bob. Definitely.
Yeah, it's me. And I had, because I'm still on the same computer that I did the show with. So I guess for whatever reason, my computer said, oh, this is a Nathan Oakley hangout. So you're going to be Nathan Oakley today.
Oh, fair enough. It is my 100th show. I've had almost too much praise so far, so to have extra Nathan Oakleys on is very appropriate.
Very cool. So yeah, it looks like we've got a good panel on today, and congratulations on your 100th show. This is your 100th live hangout. Is that what it is? Because I know you've done more than that on the videos.
Yeah, I've done a couple more. I mean, it's before this show, it was 99 actual shows, and then there was, I think, 104 actual live streams when I totted them up. So I thought it was like just 100 live streams, but it's actually a bit better than that. I've done 100 actual, what you could call shows. So this is my 100th show.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. And we're getting there too. And I know Patricia's up there as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's
well,
fun.
She's way past it, actually. You're like 170 something, right?
I don't know what my number is. I don't know why it's slipping my mind right now, but I've been slacking for the past couple of months.
Just you at like over 150?
Yeah, shows? Something like that. Yeah, I've just been sort of busy, so haven't been doing it. But it's really hard to for all of us when you're counting how many shows you've done, because like Nathan was saying, you do on your channel, you do a certain type of a show, like a sun tracking show, for example, that Nathan originated. And then do you count all those as individual shows or just one show? Do you put it with all the others? What about the shows when it's just you? What about the ones when it's, you Nathan with your wife and your daughter? Is that a show? So in a way, it's really hard to keep track of the number you've done. So.
Yeah, I won't lie. I was pleased when it was over 100 because I thought, now there's no argument now, no matter which way you dice it. I've definitely done 100.
Martin's done 350 posts. I guess that's the way you'd put it, would be posts.
Yeah,
so
about 70 on my second channel, so it's about 400. I know. I've been busy.
He's got us all beat.
Yeah, I noticed Amir made a post on Facebook saying that it reached 1 million views. I assume that's on his Insanity channel. Hoping you'll pop by. I've sent him the link. But yeah, so if you're watching this, Amir on Skype, you've got a link to the show. Hopefully you can pop by. But yeah, he reached 1 million views on his channel. It's like wonderful. All of us started as nothing channels with no subscribers. I'm pretty sure, let's just have a look across the panel. There's no exceptions here. Yes. All of us had no subscribers and, have built up our channel just by talking about pretty much the same thing. Conspiracies aside, it's mostly flat Earth. So it's astonishing to see where we've all come from. Globebusters is a typical example. Isn't a typical example in the respect that you've got more. You're what's considered a popular channel because you've got more than 10,000 subscribers. Same with you, Patricia. You're what's classed as popular. So as much as I've done a lot of videos, I'm not considered popular in the eyes of YouTube. But it's nice to see that there are, more Eric DeBays, Journeysons, Globebusters, Patricia Sears, Mark Sargents, all of these channels, Mr. Thrive and Survive, dare I say it, Tiger Dan, all of these channels have brought people along a path of self-realization. And maybe, I don't know, Bob now ties this back into what he was talking on Globebusters tonight. I don't know. We shall see.
Okay. No, I think that, that subject, we talked it out. We could definitely talk more about it, but it was a unique experience for me. Let's put it that way, because I have never been in Jaron's position where, people were, kind of ridiculing what I was saying, and almost, I guess I was doing a really good job of being a devil's advocate, because I actually, for whatever reason, had people believing that I was literally advocating that. So either I did a good job or I was horrible in trying to make them believe that wasn't what I thought. I don't know.
No, you definitely did a good job. I said it I don't know if you spotted, maybe not in the chat, that no, it doesn't necessarily mean he supports the idea just because he's fighting that side of the argument. It's just one of those. It doesn't matter what you do. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, no, I'm not, because I know that I'm a good person. I try to be a good person, and I certainly want to respect other people, and I want them to respect me. I think it's a very mutual thing. And as far as the morality that Jaron was talking about, I agree 100% with that. I was just simply trying to, kind of point out the other side. Spec has a comment in here that says, raise his hand. Did you want to say something, Spec?
Yeah, well, what I was going to ask is, now that you guys are, well over, 100, do you have any advice for, someone like me or someone in the chat that's, trying to, get a good following, and also maybe any of the struggles that you had that could have been avoided, and in any advice at all, and for someone like myself who wants to do more shows and kind of gain a following?
I'd say Patricia is the best person to answer this. I've already given you a bit of advice on this, but maybe Patricia, you want to speak to that?
Well, I think that people want, and I'm not saying I always do this. Like I said, I've been slacking for the past several months, but that's just personal, moving home, getting a new home situated, and soon, eventually, I'll get back on the wagon of making many videos. Lots of videos, different content, consistency in the amount of videos that you make. Maybe 1 to 2 a week if you can manage it, more if you can. Not just for the sake of doing videos. I mean, make sure you are really actually thrilled and excited about what you're going to be presenting first. But that sort of thing is what people want. Just think of a channel you really love. Forget Flat Earth. Think of something else that you like on YouTube. When that person you subscribe to or that you watch comes out with a new video, when you are excited, like, oh, there's a new video from so-and-so, that excitement feeling, you want to have the audience that you'd like to have feel about a new Spectacles video. So that only comes from having been consistently in their face with things that they like. So when you come out with something new and they get the alert that you're doing something live or a new video is up, that they get that little thrill that we all get when our favorites come out with a new video.
Yep, well said. And also, I think from my perspective on it, and I've never really had any other game plan, from day one of Globebusters, other than to come on and talk about what I am passionate about. I think that is a key ingredient. If I was sitting here trying to talk about, stuff like Pizzagate or whatever, I mean, yeah, that's news, but it's not really my bag. I don't really like to talk about stuff like that. My passion lies in understanding the nature of consciousness. I like science. I love electronics, obviously. I love the idea of the flat Earth and all the proofs that can be, brought forward for it. So again, for me, it boils down to talking about the things that I am interested in and I am passionate about. And I think that when you do that and you're passionate about it, it really comes across to your audience. and they get it, because they sense your passion. So don't ever, try and cover things that you're kind of blasé about, because I think that's probably one of the quickest ways to failure that you can do to yourself. But if you keep it where your heart is and where your passion is, that you really can't go wrong. So that's my take.
Very, very good.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
or failing that, you can just rip Patricia Steer off, and that's what I did.
Funny.
Yeah, stay away from those trolls. Stay away from the troll types.
Just do a video game videos, failing all of the rest. That seems to be popular.
Or reaction time or something.
Exactly.
I don't think your outfits are as nice, Nathan.
Funny. That's a good.
So
comment.
is Jaron going to come on today? Did he say that he was going to come on, Nathan?
Yeah, he said he'd swing by if he could. Whether or not he does, I don't know. I'm hoping he's going to be in awe of my ISS feed that I've got, because I think that's awesome.
I mean, looking at it, to me, it looks like there's a curve.
Yeah,
it's got the full-on player piano effect going on. The full-on, model that looks totally out of place with the background. It's got it all, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's got everything.
Yep, you bet.
So I haven't heard it. I don't know if he's got his mic on mute at the moment, but can you hear us, Cathexis? Because I'm hoping you're going to suddenly get branded a potato soon. So
no, I'm top brass.
Top brass, eh?
I'm flat earth, top brass potato all day long, apparently.
Oh yeah, we all are at heart.
Oh,
you're agnostic, though. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily go out on a limb and say the Earth is flat, would you?
No. I mean, I recognize it as a belief system. Either side, we can't past our convergence point. You can't really prove without thousands of dollars worth of equipment and several people to help you do it. And so, they believe the Earth is a globe, and flat earthers have now pulled up the belief system, reevaluated it. So there's a preponderance of evidence here that will lead me to believe that the Earth is flat. But the key word there is still believe, which is fine. But right now I'm in a weird agnostic position with everything in life, where I've decided to kind of pull all my paradigms up, reevaluate it, and say, okay, well, what's really true in the matter? The ground's telling us it's flat, but the sky is telling us it's a globe. And that's a very weird, rational, irrational situation that we're in. But I still argue for it all day long. I love the idea. It opens up so many doors, and it put me on a brilliant path over the past 2 years.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand how you think that the sky is showing us a globe, because
I was about to
honestly,
say
yeah, when I look at the sky, and I've said this many times, and I look at the motion of the stars, what I see and what is photographed is not what I would expect from a globe model, from being on a globe. In fact, when you do the time-lapse star trail photography, it looks to me like those are perfect circles no matter what latitude they're taken from. And that doesn't make any sense to me, because it should be elongated. And also, as we saw recently in a demonstration, those star trails should also cross each other, from a certain perspective at some point. And even if we can't do a full 24-hour, time lapse of it, we should still see the equidistance of those star trails, coming down, to a point where they're actually going to converge. So.
Yeah, I agree with all that. What I meant is superficially concerning like the Southern Star Trails. What looking at the equator, I'm really just going off of what the Globers say, essentially. Yeah. It's just a frustrating topic. It really is. And I have a ton of respect for conviction.
Enthusiastic the other day.
Well, I am very enthusiastic about it. And I will say this publicly, that it makes the most sense to me at this point. It certainly does. And there does seem to be a preponderance of evidence. It's just, I don't really... we don't know. I mean, honestly, it could be concave in a way that we can't even comprehend. That's what World Beyond the Poles says. If you go read that, it's just the concavity is so massive, literally like twice the size of the globe, that it's not something that we can perceive. So I have no idea what it is, but I'm comfortable saying I don't know.
Sorry to interrupt. So we've just been joined by Amir. How are you doing, Amir?
Hi, Nathan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Very pleased to have you here.
Sorry for being late.
Hey, what is a drop-in show?
Blame it on Globebusters.
Not late. So it's just a drop-in show. So just if you disappear now, I'd be pleased. Not that I'm saying do that.
Okay, I dropped in then.
Good show with Globebusters. Really pleased to see you on there.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was very interesting. It's one of those shows that I'll probably be thinking about for a while, because it was so much info. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about? Hi, Bob. I didn't really.
Everything.
Hello. Yeah. I'm posing as Nathan today, Amir. So somehow I got signed in under his account because I'm a channel manager. So it decided that I was going to be Nathan Oakley today. So, fair enough, whatever.
You look nice in a suit, Bob.
You're just projecting your quantum form differently.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Limited flat Earth chat because we've actually found the curve, and it's up now. We don't need to have any.
Oh, really?
Pack it up, guys.
Do we all close our accounts? Is this goodbye?
Yeah, I think so.
It's checkmate, guys.
Yep.
Game over right there.
I'm going to do vlogs on consciousness, so I'm fine. Flat Earth consciousness. No, I can't. What can I do? I'll think of a name.
Well, you could be consciousness Britain.
No, Quantum Martin. I'll do vlogs on like popular. I'll just do a revamp on Michael Talbot's holographic universe, mixed with universe theory in between.
Yeah. That's a great book, by the way.
I kill it, Bob. I kill it. I'm well versed on it.
That's awesome, Martin. I really love that Michael Talbot's The Holographic Universe. I read that so many years ago, and unfortunately, he died.
I read it when it came out, and when he died, I thought it was because of his appearance on that show, Thinking Aloud with Jeffrey Mishclub. Did you ever catch that? It was a sort of they had everyone on there, Terence McKenna, you name them, all of the the great thinkers.
I never saw that.
It's on YouTube, Thinking Aloud. Every single one of them, they got everyone on there from Sheldrick to. When he was on there, I felt it was his. He just opened up too much. I thought about his print.
Got a bit of a loose connection, I think, Martin. I don't know if your mic's loose.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out quite a bit, Martin. But so yeah, I really enjoyed his work, and it's unfortunate I guess he died a few years after that. And but he had some really amazing stuff. Another book by Michael Talbot that I really liked, and I mentioned it on the show today, is called Mysticism and the New Physics.
Yeah, I got it.
That is a fabulous book, don't you think?
Yeah, I know, mind blowing. Everything he does is just, honest to God, that book changed my life. It did. I was just thinking about things differently after that. It's what got me into quantum mechanics, was that book. Trying to make sense of what he was saying about hypnosis and, the malleability of reality. I wanted the answers. That book was what triggered it.
Yep. So answer me a question then, Martin. Do you believe, or do you think that we may be in a holographic reality?
I'm really, really intrigued with the idea, but I see dangers in it because not so much a holographic. That's just a way of explaining it. But if people mix that with simulation theory, which I find is a danger because people can dehumanize or desensitize themselves to think this is a simulation, aka it won't matter if I kill that person over there. There's a danger with that. So I don't want the two mixed up. Holographic theory is a completely different thing. I think it could be.
That was kind of Jaren's position too, and honestly, I don't really make a distinction between the two. I think that the holographic universe kind of implies a simulation, but the question really becomes then what is the simulation? And is it something that is brought about by a consensus, or is it a strictly unique and individual thing that each of us are experiencing? So again, we could talk about this for hours, I'm sure.
I think it's an external causation for sure, definitely. Something else is happening external.
Can we get Amir's take on it though? Because
sure, yeah.
What do I think? What was the question?
Well, we were just talking about simulation and do you think it might be a simulation? I know you've kind of come out and said that, but
yeah, I mean,
elaborate.
The thing is, I do and I don't. The reason I say I do and I don't is because if it is a simulation, then what does it mean for us? Like, could it mean that we are we NPCs? Because this brings about the question: where do you go when you leave here? Like, all of these questions are very hard to answer. And for me, when we say simulation, like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about a computer simulation? Because if we are, we're limiting ourselves, because for us, computer simulations are the only thing we know, but there might be something beyond that, which is completely different to a computer, So when we talk about simulation, are we talking about a computer simulation or another form of simulation? And if we are talking about something else, then we can't call it a simulation, if that makes sense.
Well, I think in that aspect, as far as the simulation, what would be simulated would be our, a world around us. As far as our interaction with it, we may be kind of like being on a holodeck, like on Star Trek, but nevertheless, we still have our own unique perspective, and we are conscious and we are self-aware and stuff like that, but all of the variables within the program or the simulation may not necessarily be, unless of course there is a specific call out to some other soul that has the desire to share specific experiences, like you and I would be sharing this in this hangout right now.
So because where we were talking about your show about DMT and the places we visit when we're experiencing it, what I find difficult to wrap my head around is if it is a simulation, then who are these entities outside that we communicate with? Because they're obviously not part of the simulation, are they? Or if they are, then it's just so complicated that it's just every answer brings about another question.
Interdimensional.
Did you meet the
but what's a dimension then? I did.
Well, we don't know. If we're living, what if it was 4D reality? We can't conceive the fourth dimension, as you know. So we can't conceive any other dimension, as you know. So
is that dimension within the simulation, or is it outside the simulation?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to. No, it is and it isn't. It could be curled up. So they say with dimensions, they're curled up so tight that actually share, but really, really, really close by, but not. So is that in the simulation? Well, if the user is external and we're the players or the entities, say, then the other dimensions could be the real realities in that scenario, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Texas, what were you going to say?
Can I just define for the audience what an NPC is, though, because people might hear this abbreviation and not actually know. So
non-player character. Yeah.
Right, non-player character. So people who you interact with on a daily basis that have no real or don't have a soul, if you like, and they are just there as part of the program to fill voids that aren't useful in the theory. So
but now we're getting into solipsism, though, a little bit.
Solipsism, that was the word I was looking for today.
Bob, I think it's a collective solipsism. That's what Orwell said in his book. And then when he said it, he said to Winston, well, you're not much of a metaphysician, so we'll just go out. And he just moved on from that. But Orwell said
I knew you would know it. I knew you would know it, Kath, because I was sitting there really searching for that word. It's like, what does it mean when you think the whole universe is about you and nobody else exists? And it's like, and they're going, egoic, whatever. And I'm like, no. But yeah, solipsism. Thank you for that. Finally, I got the answer I wanted.
There you go. Yeah. Good old LSD is dealing with that, I think, on a large level. But that's
there's such a danger in it, though. The whole thought process where you could accuse others of being a non-player character, an NPC. It would be the new insult of the time if this is the type of world we decide that we live in. Calling
Patricia,
I'm
only here to give you this message. I don't have a conscience.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an NPC.
Again, I don't think it's fair that you should speak to that, Patricia. You've never been accused of that now, have you?
Exactly.
But just momentarily earlier, I was asking Amir if he's met the Clockwork Elves.
I have, once. Well, I'm not actually sure if it was the same ones, but I got the feeling that they were, because they were very like childlike and like jumping around and dancing and stuff. So yeah. I think
was there other entities that you encountered? Because I've heard of a set of 3 different types usually in DMT experience.
I've met this female entity, and the dancing elves, but nothing else.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's amazing. You should go out and read about the experiences.
The reading doesn't do it justice. It's completely beyond words. I mean, to try and put it into a report of what happened it's impossible.
Yeah, I saw your video.
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting about the elves and stuff like that is there are other tales that have been talked about where they have these things called fairy rings, and they used to actually they've been compared to modern day crop circles, but apparently, as the lore goes, when you go into one of these fairy rings, you have to be very careful. Whoa, what is that?
It's a fairy ring.
Anyway, you have to be very careful when you go into one of these fairy rings to make sure you note exactly where you came into it and at what angle, or you would come back out of it like in a different time and place. And but nevertheless, the people that are encountered when they're inside these fairy rings sound very much like the DMT elves that Cherie was talking about today.
Yeah, very interesting. And a lot of the alien abductions that people report.
I was just going to say,
all of these things, they're very similar. I think Dr. Rick Strossman said it in his book as well. He touched on it, that the out-of-body experiences are very similar.
Have you seen David Wilcock's book, The Synchronicity, when he talks about these fairy circles and people going missing in them?
No.
Yep, I have it. In fact, I heard him lecture on that.
I have it too. Yeah, well, that case happens in Wales. And Mr. Evans, a police officer, was arrested and accused of murder because the friend he went walking with, heard these fairies, went into the circle, disappeared. A couple of days later, people could hear, like, from afar, this guy's voice. They went out there. And they literally, it was like the film The Poltergeist, when they went in and pulled him out of the fairy circle. And this is well documented, you know. It was in the Synchronicity. So I've got a book about it up there, that case. That case is up there. Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Very. Thought you would have read that, Bob.
Oh, yeah. Well, I followed David Wilcock for years. I've met him several times. Been to a ton of his conferences.
Wow.
And, you know, and so, yeah.
I now with of him, Ron?
Well,
he's coming out with Flat Earth, you know, Bob. Yeah.
No.
Yes,
No,
he has. But he's not talking very eloquently about it. But he has come out with Flat Earth. Look it up. I'm telling you.
That's weird. That's weird, Martin, because I just saw an interview with him and David Avocado Wolf, and he was still very much describing a heliocentric universe. So I don't know. And you know, David has the intellect to go there. I just don't know. Sometimes I wonder about him. And when he was saying that he was approached several times and could have been bought off, or as they attempted to buy him off, you know, for large amounts of money, he's saying, no, I would never do that. But then his actions after that seemed to change very strangely. And ever since then, I've kind of wondered about old David, you know. I still like a lot of his stuff. He's very intelligent, but, you know, I have to have wonder where his motives.
When he went on Project Camelot. Yeah.
Have you heard of Andrew Bastiago, Bob?
Oh yeah. Know him well. Yeah, of course.
He told a lot of the stuff he says is similar to David Wilcox as well, like with the jump Mars room. Yeah, but he's come out saying that it's flat.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Has he?
My favorite.
Yeah, he said that the Mars jump room works better on the flat Earth than it would on a heliocentric model.
Oh,
it's quite interesting.
Cool. Yeah, my faith would be totally restored in David Wilcock if he came out as a flat earther, because the guy is a brain. He is absolutely brilliant. And, you know, I've been following him ever since his Ascension 2000 website, which was long before Divine Cosmos.
Yeah, I mean.
And, you know, oh man, he had just the most mind-blowing stuff.
Have you got the Lord of Three series that he's got? Because that's what he basically turns him onto the way he is, apparently.
You mean the Law of One?
The Law of One series. I've got it. You can have it if you want.
Yeah. You've got some problems with your microphone there, Martin, because it's really crackly and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the Law of One series I found fascinating. Of course, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's channeled totally evil and whatnot." But I mean, there's some really incredible wisdom in there. And what was remarkable about it is when Carla Ruckert channeled that information. You know, that was back in the early 70s, and a lot of the stuff that Ra channeled through her was not even discovered until like 20, 30 years later as being, you know, part of our science paradigm, and that just blew me away. So, and yet there's still parts of it that I tend to disbelieve, but like anything else, you know, take what resonates and leave the rest behind. But I do believe that the Law of One series was absolutely remarkable.
It took me months.
But you have to have a dictionary when you're reading it.
I know. I did have a dictionary when I read it. I did.
I knew her bodyguard, and he said at the time he never saw anything about her that led him to believe that she was faking any of the channeling.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, and I don't think she was. I mean, they have. If you look at the Law of One series, there's actually 5 books. But you know, if you look at the very first book, they show her, and she's, you know, very devout Christian and all this stuff. And they show all the pictures, and they described in detail exactly how they set it up. Things had to be perfectly resonant, you know, for this, you know, channel to come through. And again, you know, like I said, a lot of people don't believe in that, but I find it remarkable. A lot of things about channels that they do. For one, they never stutter. They never or ah or anything like that. They are absolutely concise. When you listen to people like Bashar or Ramtha or whatever, they are absolutely spot on all the time. They never have any like human characteristic of faltering in their speech at all. And I find that remarkable. And they have also done a lot of let's see. They've done a lot of physiological tests on people that are channeling, and literally their body takes on a whole nother persona. So, I mean, it's interesting to look at that scientifically and say, what is going on there? A lot of people will say, well, it's just faked. I don't believe it's faked. I don't know if it's a quote unquote demon possession or whatever you want to call it, but I do believe that there is another personality that is taking control of that channel with consent. But, you know, some of the wisdom and information that comes out of these people is just jaw-dropping. It's amazing.
Yeah, Bob, did you see Bashar address Flat Earth?
No, I didn't. Did he?
Someone asked it at a conference, I'd say about 8-9 months ago. It's on YouTube. And he laughed and he said, "Oh, what silly children," essentially, and then went off to explain like the heliocentric model in depth and whatnot, and just completely dismissed it.
That's unfortunate.
It is.
Of course, it may also have something to do with, you know, what's defined as the law of free will, and he may have thought that he was violating that, because there are certain things that, you know, the channelers or the channeled cannot say because it would violate a law of free will in our direct belief system. Okay.
I'd like to see Abraham Hicks respond to it.
I've heard an Abraham Hicks video before where somebody kind of asked about the shape of Earth. And I know that DITRH has attended many Abraham Hicks seminars, and
Me too.
has said he would ask if he went to another one when he gets a chance to go to the chair. And weirdly enough, he always gets picked to go to the chair. So
yeah,
I'm just going to say a quick thank you. Gav very courteous. He said he's going to drop out just so somebody else have his spot in case there's anybody trying to join. So if you can hear us, Gav, thank you very much for joining. Can you give us another quick plug for Discord?
Discord plug? What sort of plug? Yeah, everybody get your asses over to Discord. You know, there's plenty of room. We'd love to see all of you there. You know,
I've got to do it. I've been lax. I am going to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a very good platform. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Last night was the sweetest night ever, Gav will tell you. Gav?
It's awesome, man. It's
Zoe,
just awesome. The way everybody just comes together, you know. I mean, there's no limit on the amount of people that we can have in the voice channels. And we've had close to 30 people in there. And it's been sweet, you know. Nobody talks over each other. No drama. No nothing. It's just,
awesome.
You know, it's really nice and friendly. And
can they? Or
the trolls can get in, yeah. After when we made the server, about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours after, somebody had actually made a Reddit post with the link to the Discord server, and we got attacked, mate. Yeah, we got attacked, and we must have banned at least 50 to 75 people, maybe.
Oh wow!
Yeah, man. And what was the first day? Day one.
Yeah, it was incredible. But anyway, Nathan, good luck with your show, the rest of your show, mate. I'm going to drop. I'll pass Isa the link, and thanks for having me. It's nice to kind of talk to you all a little bit, you know. I don't say much.
I haven't said. Bye, Gav. See you later.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, Gav.
Bye, Gav.
And I misspoke. I don't know how I got caught up in it. I was thinking about channeling. Ramtha, that is the entity whose bodyguard I knew, not the other
Jay-Z
person.
Knight.
Yes, Jay-Z Knight. I knew Jay-Z Knight's bodyguard. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually did the Ramtha course a long time ago, which was it's a lot of fun, and my sister absolutely loves Ramtha. And like any other channel material, again, you know, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. There were some things that I found about Ramtha that did not resonate as much as the raw material did. And you know, conversely, you know, a lot of the stuff that Bashar says resonates very heavily with me as well. But I'm kind of disappointed to hear him kind of laugh off the idea of flat Earth. That's a bummer.
Yeah, but his whole the entity he channels claims that it's from a planet in another solar system. So I think if he did admit to it, that I don't know how. Yeah, I think channeling is just it's just
how would he explain? Yeah, people would get so angry with him. You know, I'm not gonna bullshit. Yeah,
but I think that the good that he does outweighs it. So I mean, I suppose you could kind of say the ends justify the means. You know, for him to say, "Well, I'm from another planet," because a lot of people are open to that kind of contact, right? Extraterrestrial, wow, from some other planet in a galaxy far, far away. More so than, hey, guess what? The Earth is flat, and I'm really from just on the other side of the ice wall. Of course, if he came out and said that straight up, people would be walking out in droves, right?
You mean like in Back to the Future? Sorry.
I was going to say that's why I like what's his name in South Africa, the Michael Tellinger. for him to come out after writing those books about ancient aliens. He's got 2 books under his belt on this subject. And for him to come out and say this, he's actually backed down, though. I don't know if you know that. He said that he's not going to talk about it anymore in public because humanity is not ready for this truth. It's the quote that I heard.
That doesn't mean he doesn't still think it's how it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's gotten so much backlash from it that he... And you see it with everybody. Anybody who has a little bit of influence is... I mean, when Santos Bonacci got out there, like, it was just devastating how everybody treated them. And he just went aggressive on everybody.
Yeah.
But he reeled it back in a little bit. But it's hard to deal with when you get all this type of aggression.
I know.
That's a red flag, in my opinion. People should look at that and go, wait a second. Why are these 2 words pissing everyone off so much?
Exactly. You know what really disappointed me about Santos? And I mean, I followed Santos for years. I love his work on syncretism. And we had him on Globebusters, just shortly after Patricia had him on her show. And the thing that really blew me away was it was Morgile that was really not too pleased with Santos. And I'm like going, whoa, which kind of took me aback a little bit. But I mean, I really like Santos's work a whole lot. And I was really dismayed with, John's apparent, dislike of his work. That was so weird. But, to each his own.
Yeah, he also had a problem with Powerland, too. But
yeah, well,
that's a whole other topic.
We won't talk about that one.
No, but Santos is fantastic. He was one of the first people I saw out here, and most of everything he says just really makes a lot of sense to me. It, as they say, resonates with me. So I was happy to see him out talking about it.
Yep.
Yeah, on the Truman show a couple of times, and I think he's actually coming up to his 100th live stream as well.
Oh, awesome!
Isa's here as well.
Yeah, Isa is here. Hey, Isa.
Hi.
How you doing, Isa? Can you hear us?
Uh-oh.
The owl icon says, who? Where is he?
The owl sees through the darkness.
Yeah.
What's up, Issa? Where are you at, man? He's probably getting his microphone fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
You tried to get a word in edgeways, Stephen. So what was it you were trying to interject with?
Like Bob was saying, in Back to the Future, there's a part where Marty has to go to his father, and he says, "I am Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan," because he's trying to get him to do what he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's in a hazmat suit.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, his weapon is to put a 1980s style Sony Walkman onto his victim and press play on some death metal.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
That's quite a cool segue, actually, into something that I've been paying a lot of attention to people's opinions on, which was a bit of exposure that came from Russian vids, where he I think he was the director, although he was in the specific scene that was being shown by Russian vids, where he essentially explained that some not so shady characters approached him while he was at a school and requested that they paid for the day's costs, which was about $1,200, so that they could dress the set. And all they did was dress the set, which was a classroom, with a AE projection or a map of the flat Earth, if you want to call it that. And they put that up on a blackboard along with a square with a grid. And that's all they did. And they paid $1,200 to do so. And I got a few opinions, and I think even Jaron talked about this. Shame he's not here to address it directly, but there we go. But he essentially said that Jaron thought that it was there so that the ideas that can't be put into the consciousness of everybody through the mainstream, i.e. they can't be put into the education system through things like peer review, have been put in by people like you and I to keep the consciousness of flat Earth with the people. I asked Russian Vids on his live stream why he thought it was there, and his attitude was the same as mine. It's there to as dupe as delight, essentially. I'd perhaps take it one step further and to say that it's there for the Tiger Dan reason, so that if you go down that route, you have a linchpin argument with the flat Earth map. There's 101 different reasons, but maybe if we can go around the panel, and what is one and all your opinion of having flat Earth maps subliminally put into movies? What would you say the purpose is? Don't mind who starts off.
Well, go ahead, Cathexis.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I think that it's you might as well say revelation of the method in some way. They're putting out this information in some regard or as I've heard it called, conspiracy candy. People pick up on this stuff, and the duper's delight thing makes a lot of sense to me. We know that this is the way they behave and they act. it was a very strange thing to hear that those people paid $1,200 to do that for them, to just put that one map there. And who were these people anyways? That's another question.
Yes.
But yeah, very strange situation if that's the way it went down. But I think I agree with you most. Kind of a duper's delight type situation, and then slowly maybe trying to get it into the public consciousness.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, go ahead, Patricia.
Well, I mean, that we always say we're under a narcissistic control grid, the powers that should not be. I know many things about narcissists, but one thing that they can do is do things so they can say, look what I've done. Look how I've been able to control you. So it is that's what you're kind of saying, Cathexis, the duper's delight, in a way. Just doing something to watch us jump. And by us, I mean all truth seekers, to watch our reaction and to be very pleased that they have so much power. They can cause us to act certain ways and go over this way and go over that way. That could be one of the reasons.
That could be. One of the things that I think about it, and maybe I'm just being ridiculous in thinking this, but there is clearly, secret societies that are out to kind of discount us for their own good, for their own gain and their own benefit. So kind of dissing humanity, for what benefits them. And maybe it's just me, but I can't help but think, that somewhere in there's also some white knights that are also fighting for humanity, to be able to get through this darkness. And I think those are the people possibly that were the two guys that showed up on that film set, that says, we'll pay this $1,200 to put this message in there, because they are fully aware of the same kind of magic that the dark elite are practicing. And they are using that very same type of magic, whether it's sigil or however you want to look at it, archetypes or whatever, and
lesser
they're putting
magic.
Right, lesser magic, and putting it in subliminally, because at some point it's going to come around and it become in the conscious mind of people that are looking at it. So that's kind of how I choose to look at it, is that there are some good guys out there in white hats that are doing this for our benefit and not so much the elites.
I like that. Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting.
So let me put it to you this way. Who would be in the position to be contacted if somebody at your college came and said, hey, I want to shoot a scene at your college? You know what I mean? Like, who would be in that position to be the person who got that call to say, yes, you can go in and do that? Would it be the random good person, or would it be one person who's in contact with the higher ups at that college? And, universities and that kind of thing are usually connected to organizations, like Skull and Bones, that kind of stuff, go out of Princeton University, I think.
That's true.
Another thing I was gonna say is, if we think about it this way, when we look at the news, for example, the only reason we as a collective believe the news is real is because we've all decided amongst ourselves that the news is fact. Whereas we know now that it's not, right? So if we look at movies the same way, we've all just decided that movies are not real. But to them, maybe they're putting these movies out knowing that they're putting out information we are meant to take in as real, but we're just dismissing it because we've decided it's not real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Russian Vids actually says truth in the movies lies in the news.
Right.
Which I actually tend to agree with, because there's so many themes and archetypes and whatnot that is presented through movies that are true.
Yeah, but it's their truth, isn't it? So it's, if you look at space, it's their truth. I mean,
look at, hey, what's up, everybody? I can finally get a mic. Yo, Nathan, congratulations on the 100th episode.
What's up, Nathan?
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for the link, guys. And I was gonna say, their terms are all up in our face. Like, for instance, I've been yelling from the rooftops about the definition of human being monster, and that's why, or animal, and that's why on Animal Planet it says surprisingly human, because the whole idea is that they're telling us in our face, like through their ad campaigns and through all of their stuff like that. Like, I think once you start learning how to read their signs and symbols, you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, hey, what up, Stephen Chess? How you doing, sir? I know I've been out here running my mouth. How you doing? I hope everything's good.
How you doing,
good.
Sean?
Chilling, nice. Spec. Yay. And Globe Busters. Yay. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. And Patricia Steer. What's up, love? You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look like an owl, but okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm always asking who did it? Who did it? Coming for your ass. So yeah, we're just out here looking at the scene, and yeah, we look through the dark, man, because it seemed like there became like a little bit of a dark cloud over the flat Earth scene for a sec.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone else picked up on it, but
not me.
Yeah, no, not you, right?
It comes and goes, Issa. It comes and goes.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I had to man up. I was like, whoa, what's going on out here? Rough flat Earth seas. And let's remind everybody that all they ever used was plain trigonometry to decide where they are in latitude and stuff like that. Like, just remind all these people that for some reason think spherical trigonometry had something to do with navigation. I've been kind of just upset about that point. And you've been exposed. That dude needs to get up. Can you interview? I'm asking people's requests for you've been exposed for an interview 101, episode 101 or something. You've been exposed.
I'd love to. I've asked him. I've put a message in his chat. I can't remember if I sent him an email as well, but I'd love to interview him. He seems really sound. So yeah, but without wanting to seem really, really rude and change the subject, is as we've got Bob here. I can't remember whether or not you covered this on Globebusters, Bob, but you talked about a map that you'd come across. I don't know if you'd actually been turned on to it by Wolfie, but he told you about a map basically of the world, a sort of squashed globe map. I'm pretty sure you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And obviously, Wolfie and I have very different perceptions on this, but what we're talking about is called the WGS 84 flattened ellipsoid datum. Okay, and now Wolfie claims that the WGS 84 is a perfect representation of the globe. However, when you go to look at any projection of the WGS 84, never will you find it projected in any globe form. In fact, it's always projected as an azimuthal equidistant type of map. And just the very name of it, the WGS 84 flattened ellipsoid datum, should be a big hint to a lot of people. Datum, first of all, means it's just a database. They don't ever actually give a true projection of what it is, because I think that if they did, honestly, what we would be seeing is the true flat Earth map. So the other thing that raises a red flag is why do they call it a flattened ellipsoid? Now, granted, the Earth, as at least in Cammy's in my model, is not a perfectly round circle. In fact, it would appear to be a little bit more elliptical. So now, and when you add that oid at the end of it, the ellipsoid, that is giving it some characteristics that are a little bit spherical, okay? But nevertheless, the projections are still taking place topically on the top of that ellipsoid. So basically, if you take the oid off of it, what you have is a flattened kind of oval elongated type of map. And that is what the WGS 84 is. And I believe, like I said, there's a lot of secrecy around it. The government will not release the code for it. It's only to be used as a reference datum. They will not let anybody crack into it and actually project it because, like I said, if I'm right, then this datum will project out to be the actual true flat Earth map. So that's kind of my take.
This is what they divvy out to people in the Navy. I mean, Martin and I talked about this on a show way back when, in terms of what he would be given when he was out in the Merchant Navy. And I'm sure I talked about it with Jeff Stewart as well. And if you were to piece together the information that they get, which is admittedly updated quite regularly, but were you to be privy to all of that information to cover what they cover in the shipping lanes, you'd essentially have a flat Earth map.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that, if anybody ever does really crack it, and a lot of people, it's funny because you can go onto some of the hacker sites and a lot of people have actually tried to hack it, but I guess there is some unbelievable level of government encryption on it, that they're never going to get into this because a lot of people that are map makers, I almost said cardiologists, cartographers, would really like to see what that pans out to be. And, there's this really bizarre level of security around it. And it's like, you have to ask yourself, why? If it's just a projection of the globe, then what's the big secret, right? So just the fact that it's so heavily guarded should raise a lot of red flags.
That's what it's about, though, for me, because when I know you've talked about this with Jaron on Globebusters, but those are the real secrets. The things that you find hidden in plain sight. It's all well and good us talking about subliminal maps hidden in plain sight. Those are the real secrets, and we can't get hold of them.
Well, the I did some research into this about a year ago. The WGS-84, it's the datum that they use with the current, as you said, the flattening ellipsoid. It's called a geoid. So what they do is they take planar surveying, which planar surveyors treat the Earth as flat by a 10 by 10 mile square. They take the triangulations of every single planar surveying who were working on this project, and they stitch it together over what they call the geoid. There's a regular geoid, there's a quasi-geoid, there's the flattening ellipsoid geoid, and several other ones that are, and it's actually a quite controversial topic. When you look into it, you'll find lectures in between different geodesists who are going back and forth as to what geoid to use. None of them look like a spherical Earth. There's one that looks like a damn potato. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous when you start looking into it, because geodesy is not what people think. Like, you'll hear people say, oh, well, geodesy proves a globe Earth. Well, no, geodesy is applied mathematics. It is advanced trigonometry, and it really is advanced. When you look into it, it blew my mind, because what they're doing is, like I said, stitching together planar surveying triangulation into this model, this geoid model. And the best one that works is the flattening ellipsoid, and that's what they've used for the WGS-84. From what I understand, the only people who can get access to it are surveyors, geodetic surveyors. I know Jesse Kozlowski has access to it himself, so maybe reach out to him. But it's a curious thing. It really is, because it's just planar surveying stitched together.
Yep.
I don't know. It sounds like a good place for a deception.
Plain trigonometry, man. And also, hey, I was curious if I just might interject with an idea for Bob. I've kind of been ridiculed for this idea of that there would be like a tree at the center of the North Pole. But if you look at a toroid, like imagine a toroid cut across, like looking at it through the side, if there's that flat plane in the middle of the toroid, that could be what we're living on. And then the stars are the extension of that, what looks like a tree, so that the stars are the leaves of the tree of life. And meteorites and all that stuff might be that they're just falling off the tree. And I was curious if you might, just something food for thought. I love watching the show, by the way. It's a big respect. And I'd love to see a breakdown, or maybe just you in that, mindset checking it out.
I think we should call it trigonometry from now on.
Oh, look at you. That's politricks. Politricks.
Okay.
That's
good. Sorry to interrupt you guys. I'm just going to say, I know Stephen's going to jump off in a second, so I just wanted to say a big thank you to Stephen Chess for coming on. Thank you very, very much indeed, Stephen. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, man. Good talking to everyone. Good seeing everyone. Hey, Patricia. Yeah, peace.
Wonderful to see Stephen always. Everything's better with Stephen Chess. I stand by that.
Thanks, Stephen. Because
while I do this, Cathex, I don't know if you would drop and then just come back in. Your mic's gone all terrible and crackly. I don't know if it's a connection. But I will
drop off as well, Nathan. Give other people a chance to come in, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. If you want to do that, but I don't.
Getting and that might want to come in and that, so I thought I'd just clear the way. So it's great. Thanks for you. Anyway,
I don't want the entire panel suddenly vanish. That would be terrible.
No, that's not what my intent is at all. I just thought I'd clear the space in case Jen or others wanted to come in. That's all.
Yeah, David's going to come in.
There you go. Yeah. All right, then. I'll catch you in a bit. All right. Love you all, guys. You know it.
Bye.
See you guys later. Love you guys.
Bye.
See you later, Martin. Good to have you.
Always.
We've got David Weiss. How you doing, David? Pleasure to have you.
Hello. Is my mic